In the last video I made, I discussed Trap's 2014 documentary Gothic King Cobra, which I believe is the best King Cobra related media you can find online and definitely one of the best documentaries I have ever seen. And because of the extremely positive reaction that last video of mine got, and also just because I feel like this topic is very much worthy of being discussed in today's video, I thought I'd talk about the spiritual successor to Trap's Gothic King Cobra, the Mountain Wizard's 2020 documentary about Cobes, KingCobraJFS, Now It's a Party. Taking off from where Trapped left off, Now It's a Party, released 6 years after the original documentary, shows us in many ways how Cobra has changed for the better and for the much, much worse from the 2012-2014 days of Cobra to 2020. And it tells us so much more about this Casper Boglum. So let's not beat around the bush here and discuss the best sequel ever, KingCobraJFS, Now It's a Party. The documentary begins in Josh's disgusting, dingy little apartment, also known as the original Cobra's lair, the place our Lord and Saviour resided in up until he got kicked out of it in October 2020 for destroying the place by smoking indoors and spray painting his magical wands. Josh shows off a fake fan-made plaque for 10,000 subscribers, which he sadly is convinced is a real thing YouTube sent him, and Josh begins speaking about why he started uploading to YouTube, claiming that his reasonings for doing so was to show off his guitar playing skills and give his opinion on a series of different topics. From what I can tell, it was never Cobra's intentions when he started on YouTube to get his address leaked online multiple times and be sent glitter bombs, anal douches, and a lot of penis related things. He talks about how he's changed a lot since the Trap documentary and discusses how he's making more money, and he's very proud of that fact. He's also proud that he's progressed from living in his parents' basement to living in an apartment that his parents are paying for, so, you know, well done to Josh. Josh then goes to a tattoo parlor and gets his horrible Aussie knuckle tattoos touched up by getting disgusting looking green lining around it that just makes it look like his tattoo is severely infected. He has a cringeworthy exchange with the tattoo artist where he does a whole lot of fake laughing at the tattoo artist's jokes, and when the tattoo artist makes a joke telling Josh not to go and finger someone for 2 weeks, Josh just has to bring up the fact that he hasn't had a girlfriend in years, so there's no fear of him doing that. It's honestly quite sad because you can tell from the fact that he can't just take a joke about him having sex without getting upset about his own real life sex life. The lack of pussy is truly weighing heavy on our boy's damaged mind. Cobra then buys some spray paint to make some more wands, I'm assuming, and then goes to a graveyard with a Ouija board accompanied by the film crew to do some juju devil shit on camera. Josh also litters in the graveyard by throwing pipe tobacco on the ground because he sees it as a quote-unquote peace offering for the spirits. I don't think Josh will need it, to be fair. Even a ghost would be spooked by the presence of our Dark Lord. Unfortunately, no spirits make their presence known to Josh or the film crew. Josh even asked the film crew at one point if the camera is picking up on anything supernatural that can't be viewed by the human eye, which made me really sad because it just goes to show how much the excessive spice consumption has broken what little brains our boy had. Josh then shows off his child molester and paedophile hunting license, which a fan sent him, and heads up to the mountains to practice playing the American national anthem on guitar. And in fairness to Josh, what we see in the documentary, at least the cut they use, is much better than what he usually plays like. But unfortunately, he absolutely ruins it by doing his bullshit, fucked Herman Lee type fretboard wankery thing he always does at the end.
Yeah, America!
Cobra and the crew then head to Buffalo Wild Wings, where Josh attempts some spicy wing challenge for some sort of prize. I don't know what the prize is. I just know I definitely enjoyed this installment of Boglum versus food. Josh then attempts the challenge, and we, as the viewer, watch a painfully long scene of Josh sweating, grunting, repeatedly saying "yeah," and eventually finishing the wings as a group of trucker-looking dudes watch him do so before they go on the prowl for some lot lizards. Josh then goes outside for a smoke, and some guy runs out and tells Josh that he's his hero for finishing the wings, even if Josh didn't get them down in the time limit he was meant to. What a fucking mark. After the quick pit stop at Buffalo Wild Wings, we're introduced to one of Josh's main homies, and my favourite one of Josh's homies, the Paulie Walnuts, to Cobra's Tony Soprano, Michael Baldwin, better known as Darth Linny B. Darth Linny B is interviewed by the film crew, where he talks about the reason he's such good friends with Cobra and has been for over 10 years now is because Josh was there for him in a very dark time in his life and was once the only thing in Darth's life preventing him from ending it all. Which just goes to show, behind Cobra's rough, greasy exterior lies a heart of gold, at least at some point there did. Josh then revisits the tattoo parlor we saw from earlier to get another tattoo. This time, it's one of the most nasty tattoos I have ever fucking seen, Josh's infamous Cradle of Filth logo tattoo. But hey, Josh seems happy with this tattoo, so how can I hate on this absolute piece of garbage? I'm glad he loves it. Josh then goes to Wendy's, where he attempts yet another food challenge, and in this challenge he has to eat multiple burgers. When did this food challenge thing start? I have no idea. When do people start calling stuffing your fat fucking face a challenge? Like it's a competitive sport or something. And if it is a competitive sport, Boogie2988, he's the Khabib. We then once again get a really long shot of Josh struggling to finish his meal, and this honestly made me quite sad. It really puts on full display how much he's degenerated since the Trap documentary, because in fairness to the younger Cobra you see in that one, you could tell he was socializing way more, you know, getting out there, not overeating or nothing. In this documentary, recorded only 6 or so years later, Josh is completely alone, no one in his life, attempting food challenges, and he's not even able to fucking stomach it. We then see the saddest sight to be seen in this entire documentary, and that is Josh outside a liquor store rewatching the first documentary made about him, and you can just see his eyes filled with pain, reminiscing on the past and thinking of how his life got to the mess it is today. Poor guy. For my Better Call Saul fans, this is the KingCobraJFS equivalent of Saul, you know, post Breaking Bad as Gene, watching old footage of him killing it. It's really depressing to look at, man. Josh then takes a shot of Jaeger in tribute to the homeless guy Jared Brown, who was featured in the last documentary, who he says he hasn't seen since the documentary was filmed. I mean, if I was a betting man, I'd assume he's dead, but you never know. He might be on his 4th tour with the Marine Corps to Iraq. Josh then goes on about how he's achieved a lot since those days, such as getting 3 tattoos, quitting his job and starting a quote-unquote successful wand business. But let's be honest, every aspect of Josh's life, his physical health, his finances, his mental health, his brain functionality, his sex life, everything has gone downhill since the first documentary. It ain't hard to tell. Josh then goes to some sort of new agey crystal shop to buy some crystals for his wand, and the cashier serving him says she does not want her business associated with his wands in any way, which I truly don't understand, because I don't know why this woman wouldn't not only be attracted to our Sigma male entrepreneur Josh, but wouldn't want to be associated with such a prestigious and high-class business as Cobra Craft Wands. She is tripping. Josh then goes home and lathers his clothes in Bond tactical pheromone soap and tells the film crew that the reason all the women in Buffalo Wild Wings were saying that Josh smelt so good was because of this soap. Funnily enough, there was no footage of a woman telling Josh he smelt good in Buffalo Wild Wings caught on camera, nor was there a woman seen in said Buffalo Wild Wings. But I'll give Cobra the benefit of the doubt here and leave it up to shoddy editing as to why we didn't see what Cobra was talking about. It's not like him to lie, right? Then we get the main event, the final act of the documentary. Josh and the film crew head to the karaoke bar for Josh to have a few drinks and sing a few songs. And this scene is easily one of the most cringe-worthy, uncomfortable things to watch that I have ever seen. It's not necessarily because of Josh's terrible performances, it's more so Josh's complete lack of self-awareness, especially after he's had a few drinks in him, sitting there alone, yelling the most cringeworthy shit imaginable, one of which was this bit where the first lady singing on stage, who's celebrating her birthday, gets up on stage, and then in the style of 50 Cent in the club, Josh sings, "Go Heidi, it's your birthday," and all you can hear is this gentle, extremely nervous laughter that just makes my skin crawl.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Say happy birthday to Heidi.
Go Heidi, it's your birthday.
Okay, this is for my friend Stacy.
Yeah. Get white girl wasted. Woo.
You just know everyone in that bar is scared for their safety within the presence of the Dark Lord himself. It's eventually Josh's turn to get up there and rock the stage, where he does 3 different covers. He kicks it off with Hound Dog, then follows it up with Hey There Delilah, and finishes his set with a song I can't even fucking identify. His rendition of it is so shit. My absolute favourite part of this karaoke scene though is that before he starts singing, he invites the audience to sing along with him, but by the time he actually starts performing, the only backup vocals you can hear is the sound of people conversating, nervously trying to avoid any contact or interaction with Cobes. This whole thing is just a horror to watch. Then the documentary ends with a scene of Cobra getting ready the next morning, putting on his spiked collar, his bandana, and his iconic cowboy hat, and our sexy goth bad boy rides off into the sunset. And by rides off into the sunset, I mean he sits in his big recliner chair watching footage of Big Ben in London, and the documentary just ends. I do remember Josh stating at one point he always wanted to visit London, so maybe that's why he's watching footage of Big Ben. As someone who's been to London, I don't think it would be a good idea if Josh was to go. He'd probably get stabbed for waving his wand around too much. I don't think they'd appreciate that shit in Peckham. And that brings us to the end of this documentary. And man, what a ride this one is. The best way I can sum this one up is by saying that, to me, Gothic King Cobra is a dark comedy, but KingCobraJFS Now It's a Party is a full-blown horror movie. It's terrifying to see how, through Josh's lack of social skills, lack of any drive to improve himself in any way whatsoever, and a couple other factors, how empty, lonely, and depressing his existence has gotten since the first documentary. These 2 documentaries were only filmed like 8 years apart, and Josh has been completely destroyed both physically and mentally after a lifetime of hard living. I have to say, I think the first documentary is much better from the standpoints of both technical filmmaking and subject matter. But to be fair to the crew who worked on this one, what exactly was there to cover in this one? Josh's life at this point in 2020 was so hollow and filled with nothing but meaninglessness and hedonism. There wasn't really much to see or cover at all. I said in the last video that the first King Cobra documentary would make you depressed looking at Josh's existence. Well, this one will just make you downright suicidal. This documentary beautifully displays the downfall of King Cobra, and if you haven't seen it, I would highly recommend checking it out. All I can think now is, if there is a third documentary about KingCobraJFS made somewhere down the line, it terrifies me to imagine how saddening that will look. And I'm gonna end this video here. If you enjoyed this video and are new to my channel, please do subscribe and check out some more of my videos. Peace.